It's time for Team Venom to cross the line.
Hello everybody and welcome to Talking TNA, the brand new video and audio podcast series from us at Team Venom Media. I'm your host Rory Bailey. I'm going to be joined by my co-host Connor Franks in just a second, but first I'm going to let you know what's coming up on this very episode. So firstly, we're going to be talking about the TNA wrestling rebrand. It's been Impact Wrestling for several years. It's going back to TNA. We're both very excited about it. Then we're also going to be talking about my random one-day TNA contract, which happened roughly 9.5 years ago, and all the joys that came from that. And we're also going to have a special guest in Brian Rorys via a pre-recorded interview that we did just last week, ready for this very episode. Anyway, let's get to it.
Connor, welcome to Talking TNA with Team Venom. How's it going, man? And I see you've gone back to having the Mr. TNA thing underneath your video.
I'm good, yes. Formerly Mr. Impact, but rebranding and things. Mr. TNA, past, present, future. TNA is back, so Kazarian.
Yes, and because he is the past, the present, and the future of TNA, it seems. And
exactly.
Speaking of which, because he guides he's literally the guy that opens the box in the little video that they've got to say about the TNA name coming back and such. It's looking very much like the Kazarian's probably going to have a big year in 2024.
Which will be good to see, especially under the TNA banner.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can talk about the rebrand. We can also, I guess, speculate the things we want to see, things like that.
I want the classic belt back.
I
want the belt that Moose was walking around, the last TNA championship.
See, I want the classic one that like Angle had with the
the first one with the little horn type thing.
Yeah, but to be fair, that other one Moose most recently had, I'd be happy with. Yeah. I'm not a fan of the current Impact title, but that's because, I don't know, I feel like when you get a belt that's circular like that, it feels like it's trying to be attitude.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's purely going to be an association thing, like, because we were around for that kind of era. But I think let's be honest, TNA back in the day when it was 6 sides and everything, world title, beautiful.
Yeah.
X Division title, beautiful. Tag titles, the most beautiful tag titles I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Knockouts title, beautiful with the little crown on top.
The crown, and the white leather.
Women's tag team titles,
they were
also beautiful.
You know what else
global,
was really, really
global,
good? Yeah, that's what I was going to
say. TV
Legends
everything.
As it was first.
Legends, Legends.
And King
TV,
of the Mountains for the last one because it was Jarrett's King. What it called it, the King of the Mountain title. Yeah,
like you guys know how to make banging titles. So I'm hoping, I'm assuming it's TNA now. They're not going to have the word Impact across the front of it. But that's another, like, classic titles or a modern twist on old school looking belts, I think would be really good for the TNA brand.
Well, we'd be saying about the current title. I don't think it's bad as such. I think, but there is a bit of a disassociation with it because they had it as the TNA Championship. They when they started doing the thing, then it was the Global Force Wrestling Championship. They had the Global Force over it, and then they rebranded to Impact. So they went from TNA to Global Force to Impact, and they just put like that little black bar over the Global Force for a while that said Impact. I think that was when Eli Drake had the title, and
dummy.
Yeah. So sorry, when Eli Drake had the title. But So he had that belt. He had that little pattern on. And then the current like the current version as it is now, but was blue instead of red for the tints on there, and then it got switched to the red, and it's just. I think it's probably at its peak at the moment. It's the best that it's looked. I think.
for the current design.
Yeah, for that whole lineage. But I think doing away with it and going back to a classic TNA style belt, or even something completely new,
Yeah,
I think
definitely
is needed. And they already unified it with the TNA title.
Yeah, exactly. And it's no slight on the company for anything.
No.
Every major company has gone through a spell where a good portion of the fans have questioned the design of a title or a bunch of titles, whatever the case is. But I think a rebrand is a perfect chance to, like we say, whether they do something old, a new spin on something old, or they just go completely new. I think it'll be a good thing to see. Also with divisions and rosters, it's looking very good. Personally, I'm really excited for the new era, because TNA Impact is now a new era, but the new era of the X division, especially with recent signing Leon Slater, who months ago, maybe about a year ago, if that, you can actually see me interviewing him.
Yeah,
on that channel, interviewing him at a local wrestling event. That's on the channel, so that's cool.
Do you know the mad thing about that as well is, like, so you interviewed him on this channel over a year ago, and I was a few rows back when he actually got signed to TNA. So
exactly,
bizarrely full circle for Team Venom with that one guy.
with Leon Slater. It's
who knew?
We did. That's who.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No. So it's someone like him. He's young. He's like offensively talented for his age. Like it's a slap in the face for anyone who stepped in the ring at our age.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think if ever I go back, I do get the itch to go back into wrestling every now and again. But I'm literally going to be punch, kick, arm drag, hip toss, scoop slam. That's it. Nothing else. That's your lot. You gonna do a hammer lock, Rory? No. Just gonna exclusively work rumbles.
Yeah, so
matches. Who knows? I might be brazen.
Yeah. So the X division with someone like him now in the fold, like obviously you've got people like Trey Miguel's in there.
Yeah.
It's exciting because especially with Impact, you never know who's going to rock up onto the roster. They can get someone with some weight behind their name.
Yeah.
And they will also make a big star out of someone who you've maybe not heard of, so it's good to see. I'm not worried about the roster at all.
No.
In all honesty, which is a nice feeling, especially when a company is doing a full rebrand. Because a lot of times, if a company does a full rebrand, there's a big chunk of talent that leaves, or there's
of new talent that
are
ready, and I know what you mean.
Or it's like a new ownership causes it, or something like that. But this feels very organic. It feels something that all of TNA are very passionate about. So, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
It is, and one of the things that you mentioned about them being able to bring the names and stuff in, something that I quite enjoyed was the Impact 1000 celebration that they had the other month, and the fact that they brought back Shark Boy, they brought back Team 3D, they brought back Awesome Kong. You know what I mean? They got a load of like TNA legends there. They paired Eric Young, because Eric Young came back as well on that one. They paired him with Josh Alexander for like a new Team Canada thing. And having seen the main event Coventry in the UK just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they had like the one main event was set to be the Motor City Machine Guns versus Team Canada versus Subculture, and Subculture are really, really good.
Yeah.
And that triple threat tag match was amazing, although Alex Shelley was pulled from it because he was injured. But Kazarian stepped in as Chris Sabin's tag partner. So we got Chris Sabin and Kazarian teaming up on that, which was awesome. And also we saw Leon Slater's match with Kazarian who opened the show, which is what got him signed. They had Scott D'Amore came out, he signed the contract, it was awesome. But those 3 teams in the main event, if you count Motor City Machine Guns and such instead of the makeshift one, you could have a whole tag division based around those 3 teams. You could say, right, we've got this new Team Canada, we've got Subculture, and we've got the Motor City Machine Guns. That's all you need. That's all you need for a good tag team division. And TNA over the years have done a really good job of building a nice little handful of tag teams to the top, where you've had like an actual solid division where you can be like, right, they're the lower tier teams, they're your mid tier teams that could potentially win the title as a shocker, and these three are your main teams, and so and it's great that they've been able to do that consistently for the last 20 years. So,
100%, and I think especially for a tag division, obviously the Guns right now are holding the 2 single gold.
Yeah,
but
and it's great that that's happening, and they're still staying as a tag team. They haven't split up.
No,
it's refreshing.
It is great, and like we say, we got the Guns in there because Aaron's there, EY, as well. It's.
I think Mickey James is still there, but
she's still around. Yeah,
Bound for Glory, didn't she?
Gail Kim still appears every now and then, which is still nice.
Yeah, she was on the UK tour.
Yeah,
she was just there to say hi.
So that's what I mean. So even though we're in a new, Rhino, we're in a new era of TNA, we still have a good chunk of classic TNA.
Yeah.
Sort of to help transition into the new, because by the time the Guns either leave or hang up the boots, same with Rhino, the same with EY, etc., they will be able to show what TNA is, because they are the definition of TNA to the new roster. So it's not going to be one of those cases where XYZ leaves place and it don't feel the same. It's going to be perfect for what they've got.
Well, yeah, and it's like you say, it's great that we've got Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin as the 2 main singles champions, because for the men's divisions, because Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are 2 people that I always associate TNA with them. If I see them anywhere, see them on New Japan or anything like that, and when Shelley was doing the time splitters with Kushida, which incidentally is how I heard of Kushida to begin with, and thought he was awesome because of seeing him team with Alex Shelley as the time splitters. But it was like, oh, that's Alex Shelley from TNA. It's not like there's a lot of guys that you associate with all sorts of wrestling, and there's some that you associate purely with that. And Kazarian's another one as well. But it's great that Chris Sabin's X Division champion again. I think it's now on his 10th title reign as X Division champ, which is awesome. And then and he's someone you can build the X Division around. He's the legend that division needs. And so's Kazarian as well. I'm going to keep throwing that name out there. Alex Shelley, obviously, great world champion. Glad that he's finally been put to that level. His matches have been awesome so far. They had the thing of giving him the defenses against Josh Alexander, because Josh Alexander got injured during his world title reign, and Alex Shelley successfully defended against him. So it's given him the validity of being the world champion. He's not only he won the title because of the injury sort of thing, but now it's like, the last guy's come back and he's beat him too. Great. And I think Alex Shelley's the perfect person to be going into Hard to Kill in January as the TNA champion, because they have announced that Alex Shelley's facing Moose because Moose had got the Feast of Fire briefcase for the world title. So that's happening. And they've also said that it's for the TNA World Championship. It literally, all the graphics say TNA World Championship. And they've said that Jordan Grace, who won the Call Your Shot Gauntlet at Bound for Glory, she's taking on Trinity for the TNA Knockouts Championship. So the belts, on the graphics at the moment, it's still the current titles.
I reckon it's going to be a case of the winner gets the new titles.
Yeah, they're going to get presented it, I would imagine.
Yeah. Which
so
is
Scott D'Amore at ringside with them ready or something like that.
Because I'm assuming there'll be a tag team title match at some point in the show as well. So maybe you've got the 4 podiums or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, when I was talking about the tag teams, the current tag team is Chris Bay and the current tag team champs is Chris Bay and Ace Austin. And they've been awesome as a tag team, to be fair. So, and Ace Austin was someone that was really good as an X Division champion on his own. And Chris Bay was really good on his own as well. But putting the pair of them together has been awesome to see. And so that's another team that you can throw into the top tier of the tag division. If they've got 4 teams up there, then they're sorted, really.
Oh, 100%. Plus, as we say, who knows who's going to either form to be a formidable team, because in wrestling that tends to happen.
Yeah.
Or even come in as an established team prior. It's looking good.
Yeah. I mean, I think TNA also does a really good job of making the 2 tag team partners that have been thrown together actually work well. Yeah. So like WWE and AEW, it'll just be, this is Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, for example,
Yeah.
or W. Morrissey and Ricky Starks that have randomly teamed up. In TNA, they'll go, right, we're randomly pairing Bobby Roode and James Storm because we think they'd mesh well together because both their teams had split up. America's Most Wanted and Team Canada had split up at the time. They started teaming together and you saw them bonding backstage and all of a sudden they're beer money and they became one of the greatest tag teams of all time in TNA and in general, I'd say.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, and TNA's got a really good track record for doing that. So,
yeah, even with the thing is as well, TNA do incredibly well in making something that's presented goofy and is goofy, but also make you want to care. For example, when they did the house stuff.
Yeah. The Wrestle House, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, Wrestle House was absolutely ridiculous, but it was incredible.
Can you remember how mad our old contributor Andy got about that?
I can, yeah.
It's just no, don't like it. It's like, well, don't watch it. We'll watch it. We're enjoying it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, it was great. But then even think back to mid 2000s when they decided, oh, Shark Boy, you know what? Let's put Curryman with him.
Yeah. You know what?
And like became
when you were saying about the Zadie stuff earlier, one of the things I thought about was Bully Ray when he was Brother Ray, even at the time.
Brother Ray, yeah.
Brother Ray and Devon losing to Curryman and Shark Boy because the curry dust. Do you remember that? And he accidentally 3D Devon. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then afterwards he's there like with visitors like, yeah, like cheering on the pinfall. And it's like, oh wait, what?
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, Bully Ray's someone that's been around up until Bound for Glory. I'm not sure what his status is because obviously he was at Bound for Glory, wasn't on the UK tour and stuff, and I know they pre-tape quite a lot of impacts at the moment, so I'm not sure what his status is. But they had Team 3D at the Impact 1000, so
I would hope for the sake of the rebrand, just one more run.
Yeah, definitely
one more tag run.
And America's Most Wanted, because they turned up there too. We had Chris Harris and James Storm.
Chris Harris as well, looking $1 million.
He looks a lot better than when he was Brandon Walker.
He looks great.
He does. He's really like
He's looking better than when Matt Hardy brought him out.
Yeah,
he's
definitely
looking very good. Americans' first full branded TNA pay-per-view where everything's transitioned. Yeah, you get like the Team 3D versus America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. Something like that.
Yeah. Or have maybe a Four Corners tag title match where you're going to get new belts and they've got those two teams in there and ABC and Subculture, and ABC could retain the titles, but if they pin Team 3D or America's Most Wanted to retain the titles and transition them to TNA championships, that establishes them. Or Subculture. Either of those teams, if they pin one of those legendary TNA teams, they're made. You know
Bring
what I mean?
back Desmond Wolfe and Judas Messias.
Oh, that would be so good. Desmond Wolfe. But yeah, one thing that I am very appreciative to for them bringing back the TNA branding is that I can go back to bragging about the fact that I had a one-day TNA contract, because at the moment it's like with its being Impact for so long, I can't use that humble brag. Which I say humble brag, it didn't go so well for me. It was pretty awful, but I still signed a one-day TNA contract. So TNA, if you're watching this, give us a call. Still on your books. We've even got the T-shirt. just go for it. I can come in and be a manager and be terrible. I already said earlier, my moveset's going to be punch, kick, hip toss, arm drag, scoop slam, done.
5 moves of doom.
5 moves of doom. One of them's a punch and one's a kick.
One of them's a punch and one's a kick, yeah.
But you know what? The thing is, what's also really cool is that during that time when I was part of British Boot Camp, the second season of it, we had the awesome thing of I was sat in a locker room with the other guys for 5 or 6 hours while waiting for my shot, and I was sat there chatting to Chris Jarvis and Mark Andrews, and we became decentish mates with them and stuff. And Mark Andrews, as part of Subculture, is now one of the main guys in the tag division there again, and that's like nearly 10 years from that point. Look at how far he's come. He went to WWE for a spell. He was featured in WWE games, which is awesome. Yep. And then he's gone back to TNA and teamed up with Morgan Webster, and the pair of them have made a ridiculously good team, and it's awesome to see.
100%.
So,
yeah, well, we mentioned earlier about names coming in, and Impact have a good history of utilizing people who may not be utilized elsewhere.
Yes.
One of those people who's been absolutely brilliant is Brian Myers.
Indeed. Now, for the benefit of people that have been following our channel, you'll have seen that this interview has already been on the channel for us. Essentially, TNA have been giving us press access for like the last decade. And last week or the week before, we had the opportunity to have a sit-down interview via Zoom with Brian Myers. So we're going to throw that in here now. As we progress on this show, we are going to be talking about our favourite matches, favourite runs, favourite wrestlers from a certain period, doing spotlights on wrestlers and such like that. We've got so much archive footage of interviews that have happened over the last decade with guys like MVP, Kurt Angle, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, who was Drew Galloway at the time, EC3, the current NWA champion, Moose, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Petey Williams, all these guys we've spoke to over the years, and we are going to utilize a lot of that footage and audio while we're going through this new show. But this one is literally from 2 or 3 weeks ago when they just finished the UK tour, which was awesome. And we spoke to him about the rebrand as well as the UK tour. So let's go to it. The other week was the return of Impact to the UK. I went and saw a couple of fantastic nights in Coventry. You faced Grado one night, teamed with Moose the next against Grado and Joe Hendry. And I saw you put a tweet out saying that it was the most enjoyable international show that you'd done, the international tour that you'd done in the 20 years of your career. Mm-hmm. What was it that made it so special for you?
Well, it was a combination of things, right? It was, the fans won, every night they were electric. I mean, we're coming off that announcement of, the brand change and being TNA wrestling and hearing those chants every night. And then the UK crowd just being so appreciative of us being over there, and they realizing that it's not something that happens very often. And you certainly felt the love. And when you're a performer, all you want to hear is people making noise and chanting and having a good time. And we certainly got that every night. And then the rest was just being with the crew. The Impact Wrestling crew is just phenomenal. We really are like a big family. We're all friends. We all play hard. We all party hard. You're together. You're in buses. You're away from your families. It's good camaraderie time. And I think if you ask anybody who was on that trip, they'll tell you that it was a really special time and really good for the company in so many ways.
Thank you. You faced Grado on the first night in Coventry and team with Moose against Grado and Joe Hendry on the second night. Has there been any talks of Grado coming back to TNA properly? And if so, is that something that you'd be looking to revisit?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I love Grado. I met Grado years ago before he was a super famous non-wrestling celebrity. But I think he's someone that literally lights up a room when he's around. He makes everything kind of better. So if there was an opportunity for him to be a full-time TNA wrestler, I would be all for it. That would be a really cool thing. But I don't know if his life or schedule permits something like that.
Fair enough. What are the obviously you just said about him coming back to TNA wrestling and such. One of the biggest news for Impact over the last few months is the rebranding of TNA as of Hard to Kill in January. Are you can you give us any insight as to whether you're playing a part of that show and if there's anything that you're scheduled for at the moment or anything that you're hoping to be on?
I honestly don't know. With the two matches that have been announced are Trinity and Jordan Grace for the women's championship, and then obviously Moose and Alex Shelley for the world title. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I will be there. Over my dead body type situation. I think it's just such a landmark event for the company, and there's so much buzz and excitement about it that I don't even care what I do. I just want to be a part of it. I want to be there for the history of it and the excitement that this company deserves. You know, I've been there 3.5 years and we've been putting on awesome shows, and I feel like there's finally a lot of buzz and some eyes on the product, and it feels good and it feels right. So I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Cool. One of the things that people are looking to for the TNA rebranding is the people that are classed as TNA originals and former champions and stuff like that. Obviously, you held the tag titles, albeit briefly, with Trevor Lee a few years back when you were part of Global Force coming in, but you're actually a former TNA tag team champion, which is pretty cool. Is that something that you're going to be looking to go for again with Moose?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the most professional wrestling guys, we're clicking on all cylinders, man. It's been a blast, and every match we have, we get better and better, just like we should. I think we're like a scary force to be reckoned with in that tag division. Obviously, Moose has the briefcase, and he's got his eyes set and hard to kill, so I will let him remain focused on that. But in 2024, I think the tag titles are ours for the taking, really.
Ah, cool. Well, speaking of tag titles, you've been no stranger to tag teams over the years. You've done a lot of stuff with Matt Cardona in various forms, including winning the WWE Tag Team Championships, the Raw Tag Team Championships. Is there anything planned for Cardona to come back and potentially team with you in the future after those titles in Impact?
I mean, it's safe to say Matt Cardona is the #1 independent pro wrestler in the world today. He's doing incredibly well for himself. I think that decision's up to him and Scott D'Amore to come to some kind of mutual agreement. And he's my best friend and business partner. I'd want him to be a part of TNA wrestling, and especially now with all the excitement we have going on. So that's not for me to answer, but obviously, you know, where my heart would lie in that decision.
Okay. Well, you've been around down on featured on prominently on TV in some form or other since around about 2006, I think it was. How have you been able to keep reimagining your character? I know you've got you've had like a core character that you've stayed true to, but then you've sort of tweaked it here or there and freshened yourself up quite a bit over the years. How have you managed to keep doing it in a way that's seen you on TV regularly?
I think it's just a matter of, for me personally, I just never want to lose like the childlike wonder of why I became a wrestler in the first place. You know, something that captivated me when I was 5 years old and I fell in love with it. And I think as long as I have that love of the business and what I'm doing, you know, I just stay positive and work as hard as I can in any situation I'm given. Like, things will kind of fall into my lap. You know, stay relevant. That, you know, I control the things I can be in control of, right? Which in wrestling is only a handful, but I can always control my attitude or my look. So those things I'll always keep in check as long as I can, and just appreciate being a pro wrestler, right? Because it's such a unique and difficult job, and only so many of us are even blessed to be able to do it in the first place. So every day that I'm a wrestler, you know, I'm doing all right. I'm a happy guy, and that doesn't matter if I'm the world champion or opening the show. You know, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, I've been sorry if I'm stuttering a bit. I've been a big fan of yourself for years. Obviously I watched you when you're part of the Edgeheads, doing the whole things with La Familia and all that lot, and watched the Global Force Invasion. So yeah, as I say, apologies if I'm stammering a little bit every now and again. A little bit intimidated.
Don't worry about it.
But you've given a lot of fans, including myself, so many memorable things over the years. What's been your #1 moment in wrestling?
I don't really know if I have one. I think I'm always searching for it, right? You know, I think if I sit back and think about all the cool stuff I've done and all the things I've accomplished, then maybe I'd be resting on that. And I don't want to do that. I just keep the foot on the pedal and keep going forward. And I'm searching that next thing, you know, the next buzz, that next cool wrestling thing that keeps me motivated. So I never like to say like, oh, this was it, because then that's it. I'm still looking for it.
Well, fair enough. And lastly, is there anyone on the current TNA roster that you haven't faced yet that you'd love to face?
It's tough to answer because like I said, I've been there 3.5 years and I've kind of dabbled with everybody. I mean, there's people on there that I certainly love to work with. I don't know if there's anyone I haven't worked with yet that I would love to work with. I've been enjoying working with Frankie Kazarian lately. When we never had wrestled in all these years, but we really click, and that's been fun. Maybe Bully Ray. I've worked with Bully Ray, but I've never really had like a match with Bully Ray, and maybe that's the answer at the moment.
Nah, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, man.
Well, yeah, nice little chat with Brian Myers you had there.
Indeed. And obviously there's been certain times where you've had exclusive chats. Like you spoke to D'Lo Brown on your very first month. And you know the fun thing about that is, right, we are just about to hit the 5-year anniversary of when you joined Team Venom Media with that Brown thing. Isn't that awesome?
Hey, I want a tribute video.
5 years, man. 5.
I want a tribute video. I want the whole shebang.
We'll do it. So,
yes.
But one of the things that you suggested for this, which is awesome, is that we talk about a favorite match and do a little recommendation for people to view at the end of each of these episodes. So, do you want to go ahead and hit us with your favorite match and your recommendation for viewers?
I do. Mine is from the August 12th, 2010 episode of Impact.
Nice.
Which is the final two out of the best of 5 series between Beer Money and the Motor City Machine Guns.
That was great.
Yeah, they had a street fight, ladder match, cage match, Ultimate X, and it left them 2-2 in the best of 5. So then they had a 2 out of 3 falls match to finish the rivalry, and
they main evented Impact.
They did, and
I remember it was awesome. Yeah,
look
at the look of pure joy. I'm like, yeah, it's a banging
exactly,
match.
exactly. We were talking about the guns, so this felt appropriate, and it's right now for that time period, especially. This was the pinnacle of tag team wrestling in the world.
Yeah,
and the fact that one of the teams is still going strong in TNA today says a lot.
Indeed. Respect. I'd recommend that entire series that they had.
That entire run that they had, yeah.
And the best thing is that was a point in time where people were complaining about Impact because Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff had taken over, and there was a lot of focus on them bringing in people like the Nasty Boys and Val Venus turning up randomly and all stuff like that. And it was, it's turning into Hogan and his buddies show. Like, yeah, but they've literally had AJ Styles win the world title for the first time when it was the TNA championship, because he won the NWA a few times, and then Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money being elevated to the point where they're main eventing shows as a tag team for the tag team division, and that was awesome. And so, as much slack as people give it because of the Hogan and Bischoff association, there were some right gems in there.
There was, and it just goes to show like the talent TNA has had through the years, even through, well, I'm sure at some points in time, the company in general will probably call low points.
Yeah.
Low points in company, however, their roster still it's stacked and showing what they can do.
Well, I'm going to go for something that happened literally a month before that Hogan and Bischoff takeover, which was at Final Resolution 2009, and it was Kurt Angle versus Desmond Wolfe in a 6 sides of steel match, and it was awesome. I mean, like, Kurt Angle and Desmond Wolfe had a phenomenal run, and it was when Desmond Wolfe and Daniel Bryan had just been in ROH as Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness, and the pair of them had carried ROH on their backs for a few years at the top of the actual top of the card there, and they were both rumored to be signing with WWE because their ROH deal came up. Now Bryan Danielson went to WWE as Daniel Bryan, and Nigel McGuinness got offered to go to TNA at the same time, and he picked TNA. And they went, right, okay, Daniel Bryan's on a game show. Desmond Wolfe is going to just have a fucking awesome run with Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle's phenomenal. Kurt Angle's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He doesn't get his followers because of the TNA. Most of his career
his
TNA.
Time,
he's so good.
His time in TNA is the best of his career.
Yeah, definitely. The stuff that he did with Rock and Austin and Undertaker and everything, fantastic. Can't fault any of the stuff he did in the Attitude Era. But he was only in WWE for half of his career, and the other half was in TNA, and it was great. And the stuff Angle did. You know what? I think we should do a spotlight on Angle for if we're going to do a TNA episode of spotlights. Angle's got to be one of the first guys we talk about.
100%.
And we'll probably talk about this match in more detail at that point. But at the moment, it's awesome. You should definitely watch it. And that's how I'm going to leave it for this week's recommendation from me.
If you want to watch the things we've recommended, you can go over to the Impact Plus app, whether it's on your desktop, mobile phones, streaming things.
It works
exactly.
On
whatever you've got to stream your things, Impact Plus, sign up for that and you will see all the delightful history and the future that we are discussing on this podcast.
Fun fact, the British Boot Camp is also on there. So somewhere there is footage of this guy on the Impact Plus app. Now you know.
Nice.
I'm not going to say when or where because it was terrible. But anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening via Spotify, iHeart, or any of the other platforms that we've put this out on, because we are going to throw this everywhere, then please subscribe, throw us some likes, and just continue to follow us and check out our YouTube channel where we've got loads and loads of exclusive interviews with lots of TNA legends from the past and present. I mean, we've got interviews with the likes of Eli Drake, Kurt Angle, Moose, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, so many others on there. Just go and check it out. Anyway, thank you all for watching or listening, and we'll see you same time next week.